Alright, g'day folks, my name's Ashley and today I'm going to have a look at Washington Dulles International Airport in Northern Virginia. Now, the reason I want to look at this particular airport is because I actually worked at this airport for about 4 years on the ramp. Also worked operations ramp control, and in the neighbouring suburb I worked as a flight dispatcher, so I'm pretty familiar with this airport. So, obviously you can see we've got the main terminal right here, and it's a pretty unique looking building. It's pretty nice, it's pretty cool, and obviously the old air traffic control tower. This tower is actually not used anymore. It wasn't even in use when I was there. And the actual ATC tower now is actually this one over here, which is ground and tower. And this tower here, although it's kind of hard to see with the background there, is a ramp control tower for when you request pushbacks and taxiing along these taxiways in between the terminal buildings. You speak to these guys here. And I believe these guys were not actually FAA air traffic control. I believe they were airport employees. I'm not entirely sure who they worked for, but they were not FAA employees. The FAA controllers were here in control of these taxiways and runways outside the terminal buildings. Probably just for reduced workload, because it's a Class B airspace. It's pretty busy. And just a quick overview to give you an idea. When I was working here, I was working for, which was at the time, Atlantic Coast Airlines. And Atlantic Coast Airlines was at the time a United Express carrier for United. And this is one of United's hubs, this airport. United actually operates out of the C terminal, which is over here, and also the D terminal, which is this one over here. So United has a big presence at this airport. And Atlantic Coast Airlines operated out of the A gates here, and the T gates, which were down here at the time as United Express. Now, Atlantic Coast Airlines had 87 CRJs, and I don't know how many J41 turboprops they had at the time, but they operated J41s and CRJ 200s. And eventually United filed for bankruptcy, and all the contracts with the contract carriers, were rendered null and void as part of the Chapter 11 filing. And renegotiations were made, and ACA, my understanding is ACA or Atlantic Coast Airlines did not like the new deal. United signed them. So Atlantic Coast Airlines decided not to renew the contract. Now, Atlantic Coast Airlines was a big United Express carrier for both the East Coast and the Midwest. I believe at the time they were the largest commuter carrier in the country. And by today's standards, they're nowhere near the biggest now, but at the time they were. And they don't exist anymore. So instead of going with the new contract with United, they decided to go independent as Independence Air, hence the name, which I thought was a pretty cool name, because they had the people and the equipment. And as a result, they phased out all the J41s and kept all of the CRJ 200s, which 87 of them, and operated out of the A gates. And they also leased, it's either 11 or 12 A319s, and they operated them out of the B terminal, which were these gates here. Well, the B terminal goes all the way down here, but they only operate out of these 6 gates here, because not all 12 were here at the same time, ever. And same with all 87 CRJs, they're never all here at the same time. So, there were, I believe it's 36 gates here. Actually, maybe, it was 36, because I'll explain in a minute. 36 gates here and about 6 gates at the B terminal. And it was a pretty busy operation. Initially, Independence Air had 300 flights a day. And as they continued to lose money over time, they cut back the flight schedule towards the end. I think it was 150 flights a day. But still, that was a lot of flights. But I'll give you a quick rundown of the airport. Now, at the time, it was about 12-minute drive. I lived in Reston, which was, if you follow the interstate for about 10 minutes in that direction, you get to Reston, which is a beautiful area. I really enjoyed the Reston area. That's my favourite area of Northern Virginia. And it would take 12 minutes to get to work. Now, the employee parking was this entire area here, which was the orange lot. And this part here was the red lot. And I used to park in the red lot, so I'd park here, right about there somewhere. You catch the shuttle bus, which will take you all the way around here, across the bridge, onto the interstate, which would bring you to the main terminal. Around this way. Drop you off. Oh, actually, we'll come around here, where these cars are going. Drop you off at the main terminal, I think on the lower level or the middle level, I can't remember which. And then you'd have to get one of these people movers, one of these things, from there, across to the A gates, over here. And then you go into the break room and then you clock in. So I had to leave work an hour before I started work in order to get there on time to start work. So that's one of the disadvantages of working at an airport. You have to go through the process of leaving your car in the employee parking area and commute to the main terminal, go through security, get the people mover, in this case people mover, get to the break room, and then clock in. Even though, actually that looks like the resting area just there. Even though I lived right about here. So yeah, it was a pain in the ass. But that's just the nature of working in the airlines. But yeah, it was great. But another thing about this airport that a lot of people probably don't know is this terminal building, as cool as it looks, it captures a lot of water because of the shape of the roof. And so inside the building, although it's not depicted inside this 3D model, but in real life, if you're inside that building, you'll see a lot of, there's quite a few concrete pillars spaced in the middle there, inside the building. And what it is, apparently there's some piping inside those pillars. It captures all the water, and the water is moved to this lake over here, because normally you wouldn't put a lake near the airport, because that attracts wildlife, birds and things like that, and insects, which attracts further birds looking for food and whatnot. And of course you don't want bird wildlife near a runway, so normally you wouldn't put that there, but the water's got to go somewhere, and I believe that's where it goes there. And that's why there's a lake there. I imagine some of it goes in the drainage as well, but that's my understanding why there's a lake there. Because there's a little sign inside the building explains what those pillars do. This is passenger parking here, and obviously this one down here as well, on the bottom left, passenger parking. And also, actually, this parking for passengers, I think that as well. I know this area is around here. And actually, if you go park around here, you actually get some good views of aircraft coming to land on, I think it's 19 left. There. And I remember one time I was sitting up there watching some of the aircraft come in, and one of them, CRJ's 200s, flew over. And after it passed overhead, you could hear the vortices after it. It kind of sounded like a train passing by. Like, it sounded pretty cool. But yeah, it's a really good depiction of this airport. And obviously on this side you've got the cargo. So FedEx had this is a small presence at Dallas, but yeah, they had flights out of here. They still do. The hangar for Atlantic Coast Airlines was this one way over here. So anytime something went on maintenance, it went to the hangar. It had to taxi all the way over here. They also did flights to Teterboro. I think it was once every weekday, one in the morning and then one in the afternoon to return for AOL employees to go up to Teterboro in New Jersey. But from there, I guess they commuted to New York City. It was aircraft 701, so that was the one that didn't have any United colours on it. So it was the plain coloured one. I imagine that aircraft's since been retired now. But that used to operate out of here. So occasionally you get calls to do a lateral, put water on it. You have to tow the equipment all the way down here, on this little road here. And it took a while to get there, because it's a long way. But occasionally you get that. But yeah, the employee parking, they don't park here anymore. I don't know where they park now, but I'm not sure if that's passenger parking now or what that's used for. I don't know if that's an accurate depiction of what it is now. It probably is. It's probably still parking for someone or something. Let's see, what else is there? Now, obviously, you got the B terminal here. That's the nicest terminal building in the entire airport. I actually quite liked it there. C terminal, D terminal. I believe this little tower here, that's United Operations, I believe. I've never been up there. I've only been to the Atlantic Coast Airlines or Independence Air Operations Tower, because I worked in there after I got my dispatch license through Atlantic Coast, through Independence Air, actually. This little tower here, which overlooked the A gates, was a great job. That's one of many jobs you don't really know about in the airlines until you work for them. And that was essentially my view there. Overlooking the A-gates. And I was operations ramp controller. So I would get calls on the company frequency of inbound aircraft. They're saying, hey, this is aircraft 620. Where do we want us to park? And the way we operated, at least at Dulles here at the time, and other companies might do it differently, it didn't matter where the aircraft was coming from. It only mattered where it was going next. And we always operated the same cities or the same destinations out of the same fingers. So each one of these are a different finger. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this side was even numbers, so it was the odd numbers. Each spot, there were 6 spots. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. I'll do it here. Actually, easier if I do it this way. This would be Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot. And they're all the same. So inbound, you might say, oh, yep, okay, so we've got, you're doing JFK next, okay, you're going to go to Alpha, which is this terminal, 6, which is this finger, Bravo, which should be that one. Expect Alpha 6 Bravo, the gates open. If they needed a lav or water, they'd let us know, and then we'd pass that on to the ramp customer service if they needed wheelchairs. And they'd let us know. Let's see. 1 and 2 was one zone. 3 and 4 was another zone. 5 and 6 was another zone. So each set of 2 fingers had its own radio frequency, different channels, because there's too much chatter for one channel. And so as a zone controller, as a ramp controller, I was talking to all the zone controllers. So that I had 3 separate zone controllers responsible for each set of 2 fingers. And if I got a call for Alpha 6 Bravo, I'd tell the zone controller in charge of these 2 gates, hey, Alpha 6 Bravo wants a lav, water. They need 2 wheelchairs. And they'd let the customer service and the ramp know. The zone controllers, that was their job. And also that was their job to monitor if a flight was boarding on time, et cetera, updating the boards inside so that the correct departure times were listed, et cetera. Let's see, what else was there? Each finger had a designated staging area. So the bags would obviously get checked in, go through the baggage system. TSA would scan them looking for anything naughty. And the baggage collectors downstairs would get them and put them into separate piles. And each pile was for the different flights out of each different finger. So they had 6 different piles. And then when the baggage cart was full, or 2 of them, they'd bring a baggage cart and drop it off at a staging area. And that staging area was the same spot on each finger. There's some guy there who'd collect all the bags that were responsible for all the flights going out of that one finger, because they're always the same destinations going out of each finger. And so the bag runners would drop the bags off at the staging area. The staging area guy would drop the correct bags off at the correct flight at the correct time, usually about 30 minutes prior. Or if it was a quick turn, probably 20 or 15 minutes prior. It was a bit of a rush. It was a pretty simple operation, but it worked. And the thing with the New York area, you always had, at least we did, we always had JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark out of the same finger, because it was such a busy area, a lot of flights, a lot of passengers. Flights would fill up, they'd overfill, or they'd oversell, or they'd have cancellations, and so there were a lot of delays. And so the reason you had all 3 of those flights, JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark on the same finger, so customer service could easily swap passengers from one flight to the next, and the ramp guys could quickly find their bags and put them on the correct flight for the updated passenger transfer. So that was common. So they were the only 3 we always kept together. Other than that, we kept the same destinations out of each finger, and you'd try and pick destinations that were at least 5 to 10 minutes apart in departure time, so that way you'd usually only have 1 or 2 pushbacks for an entire finger. So you had 6 flights, but 1 or 2 pushbacks. But if you put everything on that gate that departs at the same time, you're going to have late flights. But if you put them based on the departure time, with 10 or 10, at least 10 minutes apart, based on the departure time, you'd have a better chance of pushing them all out on time. And once again, you always keep the same destinations at the same fingers all the time. And it just kept it easier. But yeah, this is the view I had from the Operations Command Control Tower, and it was an awesome job. I highly recommend it. It's great fun. Stressful job at times, but it was fun. It's probably one of the most fun jobs I've had. I think it was actually more fun than flight dispatch. Flight dispatch is pretty stressful in its own way, but it's different yet again. But it was fun because dispatch, you're not actually at the airport. You're not around aircraft. You're in an office. So it's not quite the same. When you're actually there, seeing all of aircraft coming and going and talking to the flight crew, trying to coordinate things to try and make things flow as smoothly as possible, it's challenging, but it was good fun. I really enjoyed it. I recommend people look into it if you get involved in the airlines. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the airlines. I mean, Washington Dulles. But yeah, you can see I obviously had a view of one of the main runways. I'd see large 747s and A340s and whatnot come into land as well. It was a great view. A lot of fun. Anyway, that's all I pretty much have to say about Washington Dulles International Airport. And it was a lot of fun working here. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of it. All right, I shall speak to you again soon. Take it easy. See ya.